We would like to address AI and ML data experiences, specifically how businesses can really capitalize upon the business intelligence that's available to them today. I'm delighted to introduce to you in a moment the Chief Partnership Officer for Women in AI. Throughout her career, Debbie Botha has worked on more than 20 data warehouses and data lakes. She is an architectural professional leading the Middle East and Africa for her organization, and she's an expert in everything from governance to cognitive data to analytics and, of course, insights. We're delighted that she's here with us today. Please welcome to the stage Debbie Botha.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So currently I'm the Global Chief Partnership Officer of Women in AI, global organization. And I've been working with them for about 4 years now. And most of last year, I actually had to take the year off besides the work that I've done for Women in AI because of some health issues. Now, I'm happy to say I'm healthy now, so not a problem there. But I did have a lot of time to reflect and to read a lot and to do a lot of research. And I have a few favorite authors now that I'll share with you a few on the topic of data and AI. And one of my favorites now is Douglas Lanny. He's an ex-Gartner guy. Do any of you know his work? He's done Infonomics, and a recent book, Data Juice, is his latest book. So he was on a podcast a week ago or so, and he was talking about an example of Walmart where they really got a very large drop in their click-through rates because people were searching for the word house and they didn't get what they were looking for. They only got, houses and products of houses and so on. But they were actually looking for the very famous television series called House. So they just left the website and they didn't return. So Walmart did a lot of research and they found that if they do if they get the external data from social media and look at the trends, they will be able to really pick up on those trends and give relevant information. So I knew that the Data Juice book is out of Doug Lanny. Quickly went on to Amazon. Lo and behold, nothing of data juice, only things about vegetable juices and fruit juices and data about it. So, not to pick on Amazon, but how about, or don't you use external data like LinkedIn data to pick up on trends and give me information about my research where it might not even be in your catalog. So to continue my picking on Amazon, okay, I think it will go there or not, but it's fine. So Amazon recently revealed that they are really doing very, very well in their advertising business. They're saying that they've had a revenue in 2021 of $21 billion. And let me just get the figure right. I think it's $31.2 billion. And their data chief said something their finance chief said something very interesting. He said, advertising will only be work if you give value to your customers. In other words, delight your customers and give them value. So these data leaders in these companies are really customer obsessed and customer focus obsessed. And these data leaders typically use data and artificial intelligence and entrench it in every single area of their business, in the customers, in their products, in their operations, and so on. I'm sure you guys heard a lot about that during the course of the 2 days. So there's another book, The Economics of Data and Analytics, by Bill Schmarzo, and he said, if you want to change the game, change the frame. And to me, that's quite profound. That book of his is really good in explaining to organizations how to leverage data and AI and really exploit it to derive and drive customer value and product value and operational value. And in this talk, I really want to talk about, my take on how data and artificial intelligence travels through the organization. I want to take you through just a few things about those experts in the data and AI fields. And I have a take on the sweet spot of competitive advantage, and then just talk a bit about why it's so important to have diversity and inclusion in the workplace, when developing these solutions. Okay, so here's my pretty picture of how data and artificial intelligence travels through the cognitive enterprise. I developed this model when I was at IBM. Do you have you heard about the System of X type of models before? So Gartner and IBM has developed versions of a System of X model, and I just adapted it to be able to have these high-level conversations. It's a very logical view of how systems interact with each other in an organization and how data and AI flows through the organization. So let's take it from the top. The system of engagement is where you interact with your customers, your stakeholders. It's where you engage with this omni-channel kind of conversational interaction with your customers. And if I may, I'll use the airline experience because I think we're all very familiar with it, and it's certainly my favorite industry. So in the case of the airline, the system of engagement is typically where the airline will use automated marketing to send me an email with a next best offer. And then I will go onto the website and purchase the ticket. And then the airline, or I might use the mobile app to do check-in, and then use WhatsApp to respond to a survey that the airline sent me to have a conversation about how my experience was. So when you look at the left here, the system of record is where the events and the transactions are captured. It's your back-end systems, the operational systems. And in the case of an airline, there might be something like the booking and the reservation systems. The system of insights is where we're all very interested in this conference. It's where the data is taken from all these various systems and organized and analyzed for insights where decisions are made. It's also where the data science and the analytical and AI models are built and then infused back into these various systems. If in the case of the airline, it would be where they might predict where customers, how many customers will be in an airport at a certain time so that they can predict their scheduling and determine the scheduling of the staff at the airport. It's also where the airline will come up with based on all my transactions and events and behavior and input, the next best offer, like I spoke about, that they send in the automated marketing or things like that. Okay, and then I won't go into the detail of all the other systems. I'm happy to share, if somebody's interested, I have quite a few for several industries. But just quickly, in terms of the examples, the airline, if you look at the system of things, that's where the airline will typically tag my bag and be able to, or my luggage, and be able to track and trace it right through my journey. In the case of the system of ecosystems, it's where the airline will maybe be partnered with airports in digital marketplaces where they can cross-sell and upsell and give very personalized experience based on their location and their preferences and so on. So I think you would agree with me that, when you look at all these systems, the one thing that comes to mind is that the marketing department and the sales department and the operations and revenue insurance and the data and AI departments all have their own applications and their own siloed data repositories. And these systems or application has to do a very good job at talking to each other in the same customer language in order to give me the delightful customer experience, especially if you look at that WhatsApp conversation in the end of my journey. They could either delight me or they can really frustrate me by asking questions that they should know already and duplicate things and so on. So another favorite of mine is this book called Fail Fast and Learn Faster. It's written by Randy Bean, and this book really talks about how many organizations has leveraged the big data revolution to be data and AI value driven. It's got lots of examples of failures and successes and how to be agile as a business strategy, basically. So how did Amazon report this massive revenue for the advertising business? And remember the chief of finance said that you really have to delight your customers. You really have to provide value to your customers. And in this book, Working Backwards, it's a real gem. It's truly a gem about how Amazon has done it, what they do, some secrets, some recipes, and so on. So what I found very interesting is the tools that they use. And that is, one example is the weekly business review that they have. And they use this define, measure, analyze, improve, and control metric life cycle. And what they do with that is they also have this flywheel, the metrics flywheel, where they define all the various input metrics that drives the output metric called growth. And what they say is, if you have very good customer experience, you'll drive more traffic. If you drive more traffic, you'll have more sellers. If you have more sellers, you'll have a better selection. And that will drive better customer experience. And that completes the circle and it drives growth. But growth lowers the cost structures. And the lower cost structures lowers the prices. And that again increases the customer reward, gives better customer experience. And that's how the flywheel spins faster. And then my take on, the real sweet spot of of competitive advantage for the customer, for the cognitive enterprise, is that, the cognitive enterprise continuously explores, learns, adapts, and then relearns. And each and every customer experience tells us more about the preferences and the behavior of the customer. Every interaction that we have, or the usage of products, tells us more about the performance of the product and the behavior of the product. And then all our interactions with stakeholders like partners and employees tells us more about the operation effectiveness and efficiencies. And for the enterprise to be continuously learning, we really have to move from predicting to prescribing to autonomous analytics. And the sweet spot for that continuous learning is in the middle. It's where we actually learn further by using user input. And how do you get user input? You actually use data that you have of the customer in the different other departments of the organization. You can use external data like the Walmart example, or you can actually ask the customer or the user. And, I would like to pick on Amazon again and say, why don't you maybe have for each product recommendation, have a checkbox there where I can tell you that I'm not interested in this, I have it already, or I'm not interested at all, or I'm interested, hang on, you can still recommend, or not now, something like that. So for the cognitive enterprise to be sustainable and scalable, you have to uncover the unprecedented and really superior insights about your operations, about your products, your services, about your customers and other stakeholders. And then you interweave those insights into all your value-driving operations and your operational systems. So as women in AI, you can imagine we have a lot of resources about how to increase your diversity and inclusion, and how important it is to reduce bias and noise in your operations and implementing data and AI solutions. And I'd be very happy to share if somebody's interested. But for the cognitive enterprise, if you want to reduce your bias and noise, you have to start from the strategy. You have to have a diverse and inclusive set of people at the strategy table. And then you have to have the diverse teams generating the solutions or building the solutions, and they have to use diverse sets of data to build their solutions. And I encourage you, there's 2 books here that I would like to just propose, excellent books. The one is Deloitte's AI lead, Bina Amanath, she wrote Responsible AI. And then our very own Mo Gaudat, he lives in Dubai, he's written books, he's quite famous. He wrote a book called Scary Smart, and I love that book, it's really good. So I hope you guys enjoyed the presentation as much as I did. Thank you very much.